Hello and welcome to our Midweek podcast here at First Baptist Church, where we get to sit down and talk about the conversation that began on Sunday and hopefully help us continue to think about that this week. My name is T. Hamilton. I'm the pastor here at First Baptist Church, and this is my good friend,
Molly Brock.
Hi, Molly.
Hello, Teek.
How are you?
I am fantastic. Thanks for coffee. It helped.
That's always a good start, for sure. So I got a text yesterday
Okay.
from a youth minister in Levelland
Okay.
who watched our podcast.
Oh,
And
wait, did you already know this person?
no, I don't, but I do know his pastor, and his pastor knows Jerry and me. And he said they went back and watched some of our midweek podcasts and want to use it as a way to springboard into them doing a podcast for their youth ministry and parents and stuff.
That's really cool, which is really that's for another conversation. I was going to go on to something. No, that's for later.
And this is why it's so good.
Yeah.
Because it's live. We rarely start over. If we do, it's
yeah.
at the very first because I missed the intro. But
Hey,
but
random
yeah.
fact. Most adults eat 13 pounds of ice cream a year on average.
I have no idea where that came from. That was truly random.
There's your random fact for the day.
I hope they don't see this episode now. No, but I thought that was really cool. That something that started, I don't know, episodes and episodes and years ago, is still continuing today.
That's really cool.
Vision from Jerry to start this podcast and to continue that conversation during the week, and it's inspiring other people to do the same.
Well, awesome.
I was pretty excited. I thought it was cool, and so last Sunday we started the new series Covenant. I made the bold statement, and I still stand by it, and I think most theologians do also, that the theme of covenant drives the narrative and storyline of Scripture. If you understand that, you have a pretty good theology. But it began with the covenant with Noah, or we talked about that. We didn't talk about the creation covenant as much, but covenant with Noah and the pictures of rainbows. And it was funny as I'm standing up there talking about when you see a rainbow, everybody pulls their phone out and they start taking pictures. And as I said that, Camille May goes, "They take pictures." Like she knew where I was going.
They take pictures. Yeah, I heard her do that.
That's how ingrained it is in us to see the rainbow.
Yeah.
And to think that. And we think of it, I don't know. I think sometimes it reminds us of the story of the flood. And we think of it as, oh, good, God will never do it again. But it should remind us of God's grace and God's mercy.
And that's always kind of been it for me. I mean, obviously the story, it goes hand in hand. But it's always reminded me of his promise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love it. I take pictures too. All those pictures in the bumper video were people in our church who took pictures.
Yep.
And then you sent me some, one of which I would be using this Sunday as we launch. It'll be fun.
Okay.
Into the message. Which, pictures. I got a really interesting reaction to the wedding picture of me and Stacy.
Yes, it was good. It was a good picture.
It was an interesting picture. I promised it on the podcast.
Yeah.
And it was funny. Stacy said when she went down, or when it all happened, she's up there running the computer. Daryl was running the sound. And Daryl looks at the picture and he goes, "You haven't changed any at all. Teek has, though." And then from the stage, I say, "Stacy hasn't changed at all, but I have."
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. And I'm pretty sure that white coat, again, was approved by somebody.
Do you still have that?
No. No, surely I don't have it. No, I don't. We're in the process of moving. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
So it might be at my parents' house, I think, maybe. I don't know. But if I do, I'll preach in that one Sunday. That'll be fun. Now people are going to be thinking about that only and not about the
Resurrection
covenant.
Sunday in white.
Oh my goodness. I'd be like Steve Martin in Leap of Faith.
Yeah.
There we go. I really don't know where to go from there except to
Sorry.
say that's the picture. Or I love the picture in there of God hanging his weapon of war, his bow up in the clouds. We miss that because we see it translated rainbow. The best translations say, "I'll hang my bow in the clouds," and then we know it gives you that little bit of picture. But I love that.
I loved that. And that was something I didn't know.
Oh, really?
So I learned something new.
Right. Well, there we go.
Or maybe I learned it at some point, but
It's just really cool. And the fact that it's
forget things easily.
Like, it's aimed at heaven, not at earth. So it's not even a threat anymore.
Yeah. It was really cool.
random. What's your favorite color in the rainbow?
That in between the indigo violet,
Okay.
where it's kind of like neon-y glowy, just right there, like. Yeah.
Mine's just always green. It's always going to be green. But I do love.
Well, that's boring. Just plain green. Come on.
Well, you know. But I love the picture of when you look up that and you think about the story of Noah, that they probably had never seen a rainbow before.
Right.
That wasn't something that, and then all of a sudden you look up and the first person to see that, just the color in the sky. It's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a great image for me, at least.
It was probably really powerful.
Oh.
Like just that.
Yeah.
And like I envision like the most perfect rainbow that there's ever been.
Oh, yeah.
The rainbow
Sparkling,
of rainbows.
And there's a little bit of noise, music.
Yeah,
in the background,
like,
the
you know,
birds.
the full, maybe even a little bit of a double and like some maybe like clouds at the end like you would draw as a kid.
That'd be awesome. Yep. We talked about at Ash Wednesday, you made me think of this at first, like when Adam opens his eyes for the first time and sees his creator right there standing over him. And then you talk about Noah coming out of the ark and being greeted by God and being talked to by God. Those first moments that we just read the story and we don't think about sometimes, the human side of it must have been amazing.
Yeah.
And so then seeing the first rainbow with the destruction of the earth still in view.
Right. And I think Dr. Ellis kind of talked about that, and it's stuff that we don't really think about. We read the story and we just kind of brush over it, and it's like, yeah, have you ever like looked at pictures of destruction from floods?
Yeah.
It's grody.
Yeah.
So I'm
we
sure.
focus on the animals. We're like, oh, why weren't the dinosaurs on there? You know, things like that. That's what we focus on. But there isn't a dark side of the story, but then there's also that highlight of the story. There's so much going on in there. And when you read the scripture as a narrative and you think about that, I call it like reading from the margins, thinking about what the people experience, what's not said, but might have been processed in that moment, putting your feet or your feet in their shoes. There we go, sandals, whatever.
Walking in their sandals.
Yes, that. Those type of ways, those help me experience the story better.
Yes, absolutely. Because that transitions from like story that you're like as a kid, you know, you hear all the stories, but understanding it as a person. Yeah. Like, oh. Yeah. It's real. What if I had to do that? I'm always like putting myself like, walking in their shoes. Whoa, I could have not. I would have just like fainted from like, oh, this is too much.
I can't handle this. Quick, catch me.
Yeah. People back then were more resilient.
Yeah, I think they had to be.
Yeah.
The sign of the rainbow points us forward to another covenant this week, where there will be another sign, not as beautiful imagery as the rainbow, but also going to be fun to try and talk about from the stage. But we're moving on to the story of Abraham, who is also a new Adam. I said that about Noah, that he was a new Adam. Abraham is a new Adam also, because he's being planted in a new land, a new Eden. And so God's starting over with Abraham. And so there's a lot to tell in Abraham's story, but when we focus on the covenant, again, it helps us look forward to the cross and the resurrection. And so
there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, and there's no way I'm going to get it done in 15 minutes. I guaranteed 15 minutes last week. Got it done in 15 and a half. I thought that was pretty good. So we won't get through all of it, but it's good. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it in the story of Abraham and the faithfulness. And we think about Abraham as super faithful. And we base that off of him leaving his family and going to this place he doesn't know. But when you read the whole story of Abraham, the number of times he participated in deception. Right. And he wasn't quite the righteous, faithful person that you see about Noah.
Yeah, and he listened, but maybe not fully, only halfway. Yeah. And
it's going to be good.
Taking things into his own hands, you know.
Yeah, and letting Sarah tell him, hey, we'll just take Hagar. There's so many things in there. But one of the big things I'm going to focus on is the first time there's a new name for God mentioned in the story of Abraham that is not said beforehand. And our people out there, they can respond on Facebook and see what they think that new name for God is.
What is it? Put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments or text us if you're listening to this on your phone or through iTunes or whatever, through a podcast. But it's the first time that there's a new name. This new name for God is used is in the story of Abraham. And it really frames the whole story of Abraham. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Do you have an idea? Don't say it if you do. Do you have a thought?
I rarely have thoughts.
Okay, well, we're good to go then. We did celebrate communion this last Sunday. We tried out the new communion crackers, and I was happy with those.
They were good.
But it was a really cool picture of covenant, because the words that Paul uses in Corinthians, he says, Jesus said, this is the new covenant through my blood. And it's such a great picture of why we're even talking about the covenants, pointing forward to the cross and the resurrection and redemption.
Yeah, I liked tying it all together. I always like any Sunday with communion, though.
I do too. I feel very passionate about communion, baptism, and so I like it a lot.
It was good.
So my first experience at making the bread, though, this new recipe, was not a very good experience. There was a lot of we'll just say it was a burnt offering made at my house, and then I went ahead and tried it again. It was not a burnt offering, but it became the cracker it was supposed to be. So yeah, it was good though.
Yeah,
I was happy. Good. All right. Well, we hope to see you this coming Sunday here at 213 East 3rd Street. Join us at 10:30 for worship or 9:15 a.m. for Bible study beforehand. We'd love to have you here to be able to hang out with you and to talk about this covenant that is carried through Scripture that we live under today. So have a good week. See you then.
Bye.